Hey everybody, Shane here, Shoebox Legends. Thanks for joining me today for an episode that I'm going to dub Shohei Ohtani and whatnot. I'm going to look at a couple of Shohei pickups that I made in the off season here, the baseball off season, and then look at my very first pickups from the Whatnot platform, which has been a blast here in the early going. So let's start with the Shoheis. Like many of you, I'm a big fan of the guy. It's amazing what he's done for the sport of baseball, and he's a two-way threat, pitching and hitting, unlike anything that I've ever seen in my lifetime, or really that the sport has seen since like Babe Ruth, which is insane. And what I really wanted to do is land a couple of 2023 Ohtani cards because I'm a big fan of cards that represent a really good year in a player's career. Same reason I like collecting, 2018 Mookie Betts cards, or why I think the 56 Mantle is such a great card. Well, in 2023, he had a season for the ages. Shohei Ohtani famously, obviously, led the league in home runs, achieved double-digit number of wins as a starting pitcher, won the MVP easily, and of course, at the beginning of the year, prior to the season, won the World Baseball Classic with that thrilling finish against Mike Trout, his teammate at the time, and then the year culminated in his signing with the LA Dodgers. So just a banner year for this international superstar. So I wanted to add a couple of his 2023 cards. However, they were pretty darn expensive throughout the whole season last year, and rightfully so, given what he was doing in the sport. And I try to avoid buying cards of players when they're at their absolute peak. So I just kind of waited, I exercised some patience, and I went after the three cards that we're going to see today in the off season instead. And I think I did pretty well with all three of these. You can be the judge. Let's start with the most recent one, and it's this gorgeous Topps Heritage Chrome Refractor. Love these. Obviously, this is done in the style of 1974 Topps baseball, but the shine on the Heritage refractors is just insane. Really, really dig these cards. These are serial numbered, in this case, to 574, so not a rare card at all. There are plenty of them out there, but I got this one in a PSA Fine 9, already graded. Just really love what this card represents, the season that it represents, and I love Topps Heritage as a brand. It's one of my favorite modern brands year in and year out. Can easily understand why it's so popular with collectors. And I was pretty stunned. This is the most recent of the three Shoheis that we're going to look at that I picked up. And I got this, even with shipping and tax, this was under $50 to my door. So it's a perfect representation of that 2023 season, and I'm very, very grateful that I tracked this one down. Who knows if he gets off to a hot start in LA? That one may be a little bit more difficult to find, certainly at that price point, so happy to have snatched it. And then the other two that I got, they kind of go together. These would normally be a little bit outside my price range for what I would typically pay for a Shohei card, but I made a big sale of about 30 graded cards. This was back in December. There were a couple of nice cards, a 57 Yogi Berra, and I think a 61 Mantle, and maybe one other, and then a bunch of other like low value, really not worth anything cards that I was kind of looking to just purge and get out of my collection. So I bundled them all together, made a deal with a buyer off eBay, and I sold the whole lot. And my goal was to condense down. So I sold 30, I think it was 31 graded cards. And with the proceeds from that, I bought back less than 10 graded cards. So it was a good opportunity to kind of refresh my collection, get some, make a little bit of space around here, and get some cards in that were maybe more meaningful to me than the ones I was giving up. And included in the cards that I bought back is this next pair. They really go hand in hand together. But one of the things I love, obviously with Ohtani being a dual threat, I really love when Topps gives us two cards in the flagship set for Shohei, one showing him pitching and one showing him hitting. And I have a pair here that does exactly that from the 2023 release, which is just great because, above any other, that is probably the season that he'll be most remembered for as far as being a pitching threat and a hitting threat. And what I got was, from the flagship release, one of my favorite parallels, the Independence Day. Now, I agree with many that the 2023 Independence Day design with these red stars or red background white stars is not quite as attractive as the first, 2-3 years of this parallel. But I love this parallel nonetheless, I should say. It's been around for, I think, 6 or 7 years now. Started back in 2018 and has been here consecutively ever since. They are always numbered to a very patriotic 76, which I dig. And then, of course, in this case, that red border with the stars is a terrific team color match for the Angels. So all those reasons, kind of added up to me going after this card. Also really dig the 2023 flagship design with that inset photo. It's grown on me tremendously. And then this is a rare case. I almost never do this, where I bought a PSA 10. You do not see a lot of 10s on this channel, but I kind of had that kind of war chest, so to speak, from selling those 30 some odd graded cards. So I had some money at my disposal, and this card surfaced at a price that I thought was really compelling for a PSA 10. Here's a look at the back. Again, only 76 of these to begin with. Copy 74 of 76 in this case. And so out of that number, obviously a smaller subset of that would grade out at a PSA 10. So I thought this was a really significant card to commemorate his year on the mound, just like the Topps Heritage card that we led off with. But to go along with that, and really the thing that compelled me the most, at the same time, the same seller also listed the batting card number 600 on the checklist, in a matching PSA 10 Independence Day parallel. In this case, we'll take a look at the back. Copy 44 of 76 on the batting card. But I just really dig this, just like they did with like Ted Williams back in the day and like the 54 Topps set where he got the first and last card on the checklist. I really commend Topps for giving us two separate Shohei cards here, showing each of the two things that he is known for. And again, the chance, having the funds available when these surfaced, getting them from the same seller in matching PSA 10 grades, representing both of his tremendous skills in one pair of cards from arguably his best season to date and his MVP season. I just decided to strike and pick these up. So a very rare pair of PSA 10s for me. I would not normally pay the 10 tax, but in this case, I did make an exception. I say it all the time, but I'm not a fan of hobby absolutes. I don't like to say never or always. So in this case, while I typically don't buy PSA 10s, I'm really happy with this pair. And these three Shoheis collectively are going to be a great representation in my collection of that magical 2023 season that we all got to witness. So that is it on the Shohei front. Those are really my only pickups of the man in the offseason. I've really been focusing on other things here, but I'm really, really pleased with that trio. And now for the second part of the video, let's get to something even more fun. Got my first cards ever purchased on Whatnot. And a little bit of foreshadowing here with these cards you see in the background. They were purchased from my good buddy Dylan over at Double D Vintage Baseball Cards. So you may or may not know, hopefully you do, Dylan has taken in recent weeks to getting on Whatnot and doing some sales. The first two that I've attended here have been on Wednesday evenings. It was my first exposure to the platform. In fact, I only signed up for Whatnot just to kind of support Dylan and stop in and see how his sale worked out. But it's such a blast. If you haven't been on there, I can't recommend it enough. I'll leave a link to Dylan's channel. You can go over and check out, his information on when he's going to be doing the next one. But it's a great application. You're basically watching on video as the seller, in this case Dylan, just goes through, shows off the cards one at a time, and it's a live auction for anyone who's in the room. There's a chat in there, so I'm talking with hobby buddies and having a good time. And then at the same time, Dylan is selling cards. So wanted to get on there to support Dylan. I wanted to at least make sure to pick up a card or two, just because I really believe in what he's doing in the hobby and consider him a good friend. And so I have those winnings here to go over quickly. But before I do, Dylan was gracious enough to include everybody who made a purchase in his first Whatnot sale would get one of these custom drawn by Scott over at Reindeer Studios Ted Williams surfing cards. Now, this is a piece of original art that Scott made for Dylan, who's a big Ted Williams fan and a huge surfer, as you probably know. Just a stellar piece of artwork, which is always the case when Scott takes, to any type of medium, it seems like. And I've long wanted one of these in the collection. So this was also a compelling reason for me to make a purchase during that Whatnot sale. And in the end, I ended up picking up 3 different cards from Dylan. But it didn't really cost me much because I got like a $15 credit just for signing up for Whatnot, which was pretty cool. The first one I got is this 1976 Topps Fergie Jenkins. And these are in the the old school Dylan Double D grading system labels, where he would put his cards in these Ultra Pro or these card savers, I guess, and create his own labels, which is great. That's why I have these two cards up in the background. I got those very early on when I met Dylan. He was kind enough to send those to me, and I've kept them in the Double D grading system cases, just like I plan to do with this most recent batch of 3, but just a really cool card. I think this one I won for, I want to say, either $3 or $4, and this is the one that I broke the ice with. Again, just to support Dylan, and really because I admire Fergie Jenkins. I learned a lot about him reading the Baseball 100 by Joe Posnanski, and was just really impressed learning just what an innings eater he was and what an accurate pitcher he was as well. Just, super high strikeout to walk ratio, and this guy just ate up an insane amount of innings year after year. So really cool card here with the palm trees in the background. That kind of feels perfect for a Dylan card as well. Kind of matches the palm trees and the Ted Williams surfing card, which I love. And again, that was, I think that was $3. So you can't do better than that. Supporting a hobby friend and getting that great card for $3. And the other two I landed were 1971 Topps cards. Got the first one, the great Billy Martin, manager here for the Tigers. Got that blacked out cap that Topps was infamous for during this era. Another cheap pickup here. This was, I think, again, $3 or $4, right around the same amount as the Fergie Jenkins. And keep in mind, I had that credit. So really, these didn't really cost me anything at the end of the day. But I dig that card. I love all the black on the border, matching the black on the cap and the undershirt there, and the signature, the facsimile signature, and even the stadium in the background has kind of a blackness to it that really kind of unifies this card. So cool Billy Martin there, just fascinating personality in baseball past. And then the one card that I spent a little bit more on, but again, I still think this was a bargain. This was under $20, and it's a card I don't think I've ever owned before. The 71 Steve Carlton. Check this out with the Cardinals. And this one really spoke to me because I love the image. I love the contrast of the bright red in the uniform versus the black of the card. And it's actually really well centered too. I was surprised. Dylan is known for his centering. So to see a card this well centered available in his Whatnot sale, I decided that this was one I wanted to make a play at, and was very, very happy to bring it home for under $20. Here's a look at the back, nice and clean as well. And yeah, the third and final pickup from Dylan's Whatnot sale. I had an absolute blast on there. Again, I can't recommend enough. If you're free on a Wednesday evening or whenever he holds the next one, it's a really good time. There's tons of people that you'll know from the YouTube community and other people from outside the YouTube community in the chat, just interacting and having a good time, talking cards and adding some things to their collection. And it's helping Dylan thin out his collection and raise some money for stuff that he wants to go after as well. So it's a win-win, just a great crowd in there, and I had an absolute blast participating in that. And then lastly, just because Dylan is such a solid guy, in addition to those 3 cards, he threw in a bonus card when he mailed these to me. I was not expecting this at all, and this is beyond cool. And it kind of comes around full circle, given that we started with a Japanese player in Shohei Ohtani, and we're going to finish now with Hideki Matsui. If you've watched Dylan's channel, you know he's really gone down the rabbit hole of kind of becoming a Matsui super collector. He's gotten on the ComC, which he jokingly referred to as the Devil's Playground, in a text that I'm in with him. And I thought that rang pretty true as someone who spends a lot of time on ComC myself. And he has been scooping up just some awesome Hideki Matsui cards. And he threw this one in. This is from 2007 Upper Deck Masterpieces. Now, 2007 is the year that I got back into the hobby. So I remember this set fondly, and I opened a lot of packs of this because I really dig the design, and I actually completed the whole set. They're done on like this canvas cardstock. I don't know if it's going to come across in the case, but this parallel is a framed parallel. So this border around the image is actually raised up, and the painting is inset within the border to where it really looks like a framed painting. And I have a bunch of these in all different colors that I got back in 2007 and in the years since, but I'd never heard of this one, which I think is like a gold frame. It's a darker gold, and this one on the back, as golds often are, is serial numbered out of 50 here, copy 46 of 50. So this is crazy. Dylan at least partially blames me for sparking his interest in modern cards. Again, it's a cycle of inspiration here on YouTube. But now I think it's really awesome coming around full circle. And we're at a point now where Dylan is sending me modern cards from a set that I love that I didn't even know existed. So this is beyond cool, Dylan. I hope you have a second copy of this and you didn't give me your only one. I would feel terrible, but this is an absolute home run for my collection. I will always think of you when I come across this card in your epic Matsui collection. So just a super generous throw-in from a super generous guy. Again, huge thanks to Dylan. I had a blast on Whatnot, and I love seeing the success that you're having on that platform. To everybody else, I appreciate you stopping by to check out the Shoheis and Whatnot, and I'll be back in the very near future with some more content. Till then, enjoy the hobby and take care.